In this tutorial, we are going to see how to modify a project that has already been realized. In fact, we may need to modify some elements of the building, change the arrangement of the panels, or modify the electrical configuration or some factors of it. The first step is obviously to open the project that we need to modify. Once inside the design area, we have to consider that, if we need to change the arrangement of the panels, and therefore their positioning on the surface, we will necessarily have to eliminate the electrical configurations previously made. This operation is necessary because, clearly, with a different positioning of the modules, or with a different number of panels in the system, the old electrical configurations will no longer be compatible with our project. To proceed with the elimination of the configurations, we need to move to the electrical section. So let's click on the inverter icon and move to where the configurations are saved, that is, in the last and in the penultimate box. Now, by clicking on the bin, let's delete all the old configurations that are no longer compatible and the changes we are going to make to the project. Once this has been done, we are ready to change the positioning of the modules. In fact, now, by selecting a row of panels, we will again have all the editing options available. Let's assume we want to install a greater number of panels on this surface. We could move the rows of modules, in order to create space to be able to insert a new row of panels. As always, we can take advantage of the axes to make a more precise movement. To create the new row, we are going to duplicate an already existing one. We still arrange the other modules, to have a more orderly placement. In this example, we wanted to add a single row of panels. We could obviously have added others, or else we could have removed them. Basically, you can make any kind of changes we might need. Once all the necessary changes have been made, we still have two fundamental steps to carry out, before we can dedicate ourselves to preparing the new electrical configuration. These steps are the simulation of the shading on the modules, and the calculation of the statics. Obviously, it will be necessary to carry out the statics only on the fields that have undergone a modification. In this case, we have changed a single pitch, the one where we added the row of panels. To recalculate the statics, we have to select one of our rows, and go and click on the statics button. Let's reassign the materials, and click Next. We select the type of hook we want to use. Let's go to create the layout of the beams. Click on Next, and validate. At this point, we have completed the calculation of the statics also on the pitch which has been modified. Now we just have to go and carry out the simulation of the shadings. We select the slope we are interested in and perform the calculation. Save and close. At this point, we can finally go to configure the new inverters. We select the fields that interest us, in this case the two pitches, west slope, and east slope. Now let's set the filters according to your needs, and click on Go to Inverters. The system now shows us the catalogs of the inverters. In this plant, we have a total of 26.64 kilowatts peak to satisfy. Let's then select a 25 kilowatts inverter, which in this case should be more than enough. Calculate. We are now going to assign a different pitch to each MPPT. We assign the east slope to the first MPPT, the west slope to the second. Regarding the west pitch, we need to place 32 modules. For the east pitch, on the other hand, we have to position 42. Once the configuration is complete, click on Apply to Fields. Now, as usual, we can see the inverter in the list. We select it, and we position it onto the scene. We then go to define the drop point, bringing it to the ridge, and click on Assign All Fields. Here is that the system shows us the scheme of the strings it has generated. Save configuration. At this point, we have made various changes on a project that has already been completed. We have changed the number of modules, and we have set a new electrical configuration on it. We can rename it, and call it Modified Configuration. Let's go now to save the project, which is always a fundamental step. If we needed to export the summary of this new configuration, at this point we would find the modified configuration. Clearly, by exporting the documentation we will have the data of the new project carried out, and no longer those relating to the old configuration.